Dark Souls has many heroes, but few legends. Logan is one of them. Logan is the most accomplished human sorcerer in the world, and the dragon Seath is the only one who has gone deeper. Logan is remarkably old and he has not wasted his time, but his intelligence is not overbearing or preaching. It is gentle and almost invisible. Logan seems ordinary, but he is far from it. He was not only part of the Vinheim Dragon School, but a royal member.
Oh, Big Hat? Of course I've heard of him. Who hasn't in Vinheim? He was a royal member of Dragon School.
His time at the academy was more than just refinement and reaching the highest ranks, as he is also an innovator. He has developed new spells with methods entirely of his own, such as homing soul mass. Some of his spells have become symbols of strength, their power told in legends about him. Their effects are so powerful that there are whispers that they rival the lightning of the very gods. A fitting rumour, for Logan doubts in the power of the gods and their special place in the world. His legend has spread far and wide. He is known even in Lordran, a land populated by hollows and monsters more than the sane.
Oi, did you see him? Big Hat Logan, the legendary sorcerer, in the flesh. This place is simply mad. Legendary heroes popping up left and right. They're making me feel quite inadequate, to be honest.
After a long life of study and practice, a new life begins. 100 years ago, Logan begins a life of undeath. He faces this new way of life not as a curse, but as a world of new possibilities. In the land of lords, there be dragons. The Vinheim School is named after dragons, and now, as an undead, Logan can pursue this fascination and progress his craft. The loss of his old life has yielded a gift, and this is his philosophy.
All progress demands sacrifice.
And so Logan travels to Lordran to seek Seath, the grandfather of sorcery. The Vinheim School must be at a loss without him. Sorcery's future will be a little less bright without his insights, but Logan marches on despite their wishes.
He is an accomplished scholar. The arts of sorcery would never have come this far without his contributions, and he has the nerve to go risking life and limb. What a stubborn old fellow.
Though the Academy may ensure he does not go alone. Since then, it has been 100 years. For all his learning in that time, he has failed to reach the archives. Logan is such a mighty warrior that the crestfallen merchant puts him in a category all of his own, even when listed with legends such as King Rendell and Black Iron Tarkus.
Let me give you a nibble of advice. Don't even consider visiting Anor Londo. Not in your state. For a century they've tried and failed. The Night King Rendell, Black Iron Tarkus, and even Logan himself. You won't stand a chance, you'll be eaten alive. But go along if you wish, if only to deepen your despair.
Sen's Fortress and the Iron Golem seem to have delayed Logan in his quest, and it is here that we meet him. We find Logan in a cage in Sen's Fortress, behind one of Seath's man-serpents. We find out that those trapped by the man-serpents are eventually taken who knows where. If a hapless adventurer becomes fatigued during an imprudent attempt to overcome the fortress, the serpent men will not kill him, but lock him up in a lonely cage. Eventually, unless they have forgotten, they drag the victim off to who knows where. Logan being such a powerful sorcerer, and the fact that he is found once again locked up as a property of Seath later in game, albeit in a much sturdier cage, does make one wonder if his capture was deliberate. Why risk the Iron Golem when you can simply be ferried to the archives as an experiment and escape once inside? Whether deliberate or not, the sleepy serpent has procrastinated on his duties. As the key item explains, they may have forgotten Logan. The long wait is unsettling for Logan, whose intellect needs stimulation.
This place is melting my mind. The inactivity is repressive.
We free him, and Logan returns to the Firelink Shrine to rethink his approach. Now we get to know the man behind the legend. Most sorcerers respect the clothes of their Vinheim school and wouldn't alter them, but Big Hat has never felt awe for authority, and has swapped tradition for the enormous hat he is well known for. He does this for the same reason he has never changed his sorcerer's apprentice robes: focus. He has applied himself so fully to sorcery that all distraction is removed, whether it's concern over his appearance or the interruptions of other people. He leaves his robes as they are, but dons a big hat to block out people's stares. Gigantic hat worn by the great sorcerer Logan. It completely hid his face, which led to his nickname Big Hat. Famously antisocial, Logan used it to block out noise and people's stares so he could focus on his own thoughts, but it does not possess any special magic powers. His thinking needs peace, and he doesn't like the questions of passers-by. He desires solitude. Miyazaki has said that he looks like someone who doesn't like other people. I can empathize with that. While it may be true, we hope Logan still likes the Chosen Undead. In fact, despite the impression of the Big Hat, it does seem that he is a kind man. It may be that a love of learning and wisdom drives him, and it is not dislike of people in itself, but a frustration at being disturbed in his progress. And his love of wisdom goes much further than focus. He has a passion that comes through when he talks.
You really are very diligent. I quite understand. Study is invigorating.
The beauty he finds in learning makes Logan's dialogue special, even beyond the world of Dark Souls itself.
Such a storehouse of knowledge, so close but just out of reach. The thought offends me so I could simply die. As a student of the arts, you understand me, yeah?
He shares his knowledge with us, perhaps showing that he does care for people, or is good enough to help them. More than the spells in-game are the broader things he teaches. He is gentle when we are found lacking.
I'm afraid that you are unable to learn sorcery. The basic framework, you see, it cannot be taught. Oh, do not fret. Life isn't all about sorcery. You will find your own way.
And full of kind words of advice.
Don't frown with regret. Peer forward, with your head high.
He genuinely cares about us.
Hello there. Glad to see you alive. Hello there. What have you been up to? I thought that perhaps you'd gone hollow on me.
And warns us away from danger and imprudence.
You have great potential. Don't go and die over nothing.
His time at Firelink Shrine is marked by an attitude of sharing, giving us an access to knowledge well beyond what he needed to provide. He may have owed us, but he could have imparted half of what he did, and we still would have been happy. He even does it with a warm heart.
Come again, any time you please, for I too learn, whilst teaching a student.
But Logan is Big Hat after all. For all his kindness towards us, there is a wide world of discovery out there. Just as in his early days of focus blocking people out, he now becomes solitary again. He vanishes from the Firelink Shrine in pursuit of new knowledge. Knowledge which cannot be shared as it is yet to be discovered, and Logan will need to take it from its brute form and crystallize it. This time he is successful in his journey. Whatever method he uses, he makes it to Seath's archives, and with our help freeing him from his cell, gains access to Seath's great trove of knowledge. He promptly explains to us the difference between our undeath and Seath's.
Ah, the secret of Seath's immortality. If you have fought him and were in prison, you must know that Seath is a true undead, different from ourselves. His wounds close promptly, and no mortal blow affects him, granting true insulation from death. It is an effect of the primordial crystal, a sacred treasure pillaged by Seath when he turned upon the ancient dragons.
Does he do this to help us slay the dragon, so he can gain access to the innermost sanctum of Seath's collection?
So only by destroying the primordial crystal can you so much as scratch his hide. And it so happens the primordial crystal is in the inner garden of these very archives, the Crystal Forest.
It seems he had already gained what he needed from the primordial crystal, as the crystal sages in Dark Souls 3 say Logan found the quintessence of sorcery in the facets of a certain crystal. Whatever his reasons, this may be a window into Logan's true interests. He begins to explore the depths of Seath's investigations with the passion that has accompanied him through his life. At first he is fascinated by Seath's discoveries.
The tomes stored in these archives are truly magnificent, a great pool of knowledge, the fruits of superior wisdom and an unquenchable desire for the truth. Some would say Seath had an unsound fixation, but his work is a beautiful, invaluable resource.
And despite the world believing Seath mad and cruel, Logan confesses to bear
no antipathy for that wonderful, scaleless beast.
His intelligence is as sharp as ever, giving us ideas not only for Dark Souls, but for life.
Time is a resource. Let's delve in promptly.
But it is now that this passion begins to denature. When we say farewell to him, his tone is so bizarre, we can't tell if he's misheard us or saying goodbye in return.
Come again.
He begins to be distracted not by the outside world as in the past, but by his inner mind as it fragments unhealthily through the influence of Seath's tomes.
Oh, there you are. It's been a while. Or were you just here? This fascinating place defeats my sense of time.
He becomes more insular and protective of his work. We talk to him the same as ever, and he scolds us severely.
Who are you? Stay clear of my work. Curses upon you. How dare you disturb me?
He seems to be obsessed about the risk of someone ruining his process, like losing a piece of a clock before it is put together. The threads of attention are hard to hold together, and Logan is trying to unify new ideas that are complex. If we throw him off, his understanding may fracture, and he may lose an opportunity, perhaps forever. He shares some of his crystal insights, but with time he becomes more jealous of his discoveries, and his greatest will not be shared freely. Eventually, he barely notices our presence, mumbling incoherent strings of thought.
I can't remember the death. He's undead. He was...
We will never know if they made sense to anyone, even Logan himself. He seems to have gone mad with knowledge, as it became more obscure, less and less shareable, less and less understandable. Impossible to keep track of or bring together, it seems to have broken him. His pursuit of it turned from passion to addiction, and he is lost to the depths. We reach him in a final mania, naked save for his hat and a loincloth, a new crystal catalyst, tin staffs like those used by Buddhist monks in our world, symbolic of his religious-like fanaticism towards Seath's ideas. He faces us and casts a new spell, White Dragon Breath, in an attempt to kill his old pupil, his remarkable final invention, before we end the legend that was Logan. Why was he naked? Is it symbolic of rejecting received wisdom? Has he gone mad in a literal sense, or is there something else at play? He isn't hollow, his skin seems normal, and the last time we saw him he was full of intention. In fact, even in this naked state, he still creates White Dragon Breath. Old Big Hat, in his mad, disrobed state, made divine works such as this. Hollowing doesn't happen while in the grips of a pursuit. What if he wasn't mad, but fanatical? Logan has long believed the mind was the key to progress. Intellect is not faith in that it prefers reasoned and analytical thought to understand the world. Logan has already been accused of heresy because,
as he sees it, there are no gods, no transcendence, only truth. And Logan only wishes to elucidate it. It is this heretical methodology that allowed Logan to advance sorcery to the point that he has. In a word, he is a hero, despite the awful rumours.
Logan seems to be ruthless in his belief that with intellect and understanding, all can be achieved, even divinity. With logic, we can access the power of the gods, or the dragons. Later, much later in time, another will stumble upon the works of Seath and of Logan. Wielding a staff just like Logan's, and armed with Logan's knowledge that he found, is the terrible King Osiris, the Consumed King. The Dark Souls 3 version of White Dragon Breath says, Seath's research seemed to strike a chord with old Big Hat, who, in his mad, disrobed state, made divine work such as this his own. Osiris was no doubt edified by this. After his edifying exposure to Logan's work, he went down a path that involved becoming dragon-like. This sheds light on our final meeting with the great sorcerer. Logan is not naked from pure madness, but out of a mad desire to become dragon-like. Miyazaki says in the DesignWorks interview, it's Logan's goal to gain the power of the ancient dragons, so in order to do this, I had an image of him casting off his human clothes. Logan's research has led to the desire to transcend, but in his own way. Miyazaki says more, but there was also this image of the player leaving something of their humanity behind. Similarly, Logan removing his clothes is his attempt to bring himself closer to Seath in some way. Although I couldn't take his hat off because no one would recognize him. But personally, I like to think that unlike the followers of the Path of the Dragon, Logan sought to gain the dragon's power while retaining his pride as a human. So, is it madness? We believe yes, but not in the simple sense. It is Logan's intelligence that has driven him mad. It was so powerful that he believed it had no limits, and this is the madness that caused his downfall. In each of Miyazaki's creations, there is the desire to transcend through reason, intellect, understanding, and in each instance it is met with tragedy. Miyazaki may be saying that over-reliance, or faith, in the methods of logic, understanding, and reason is as dangerous and absurd as faith can be. For these methods are just as limited as rituals. They cannot solve anything. Often, great progress doesn't require understanding, and trying to understand can sometimes cause bigger problems. Logan's attitude led to rumours and talk of heresy, even in the Academy. And just like other tales we know of, perhaps the sorcerers themselves turned on this approach. Many have wondered if Griggs was sent from Vinheim to be Logan's assassin. It seems in Dark Souls it is not a human's fate to become a dragon, even for a legend. Logan is the marvel of Lordran, Miyazaki's ode to learning, but Logan becomes a warning. To all those who travel undiscovered worlds, beware. New worlds, even of the mind, are treacherous. All progress demands sacrifice, but never risk sacrificing everything for progress.
Stay clear of my work. Curses upon you. How dare you disturb me?